Rusty Harden, you are the judge for the, what's the show?
It's the Pump House member show, annual member show.
I think it's The Hills?
The Hills, is that what it's called?
Could be. It sounds like you're focused on judging and not worrying about titles.
Yeah.
So, who are you and why are you judging the show?
Well, I was invited. I'm Rusty Harden from Tipp City, Ohio. I have a studio and classes in Tipp City, and then I have a gallery down at Front Street in Dayton. I stepped out to be a professional artist a little over 20 years ago, and Tipp City has been my home for that. And so I teach. I'm an international teacher. I teach online. I've had over 25,000 students participate with classes with me online. I teach in person, and I'm a traveling instructor from time to time. And I eat, breathe, and whatever else you can do with art. It's just, it is what I am. And this show, and to be able to judge a show that is as beautiful as this is so much fun. But it's hard, but it's fun.
Okay.
But
and
it's hard. Yeah.
Tipp City,
Tipp
is that
City.
near Dayton?
Yep, just north of Dayton.
And so it's a concern to get a judge who's out of this area for fairness.
I really don't know their process, but I would think that most instructors or artists that judge should be able to set aside personal knowledge of somebody. So, but the variety over the years makes it really interesting because every judge brings their point of view, their perspective of art, what's important to them. For me, first thing I look for is how well they handle the medium, be it photography, digital photography, wider media, sculpting, whatever it is, how did they handle it? Did they handle it as if it was traditionally stunning, or did they push the limits? And so I respect and appreciate both of them. And then once I've gone through and enjoyed the medium, and I start then going back and looking for the narrative. When I'm talking about a narrative, it's kind of like how I respond to the piece.
Bluetooth disconnected.
So, for example, I'm looking to see if the piece draws me in. The Best of Show is a great example of that, and I'll share that with you. How do they use the color? Do they use a plane of color, or do they use a block of color? You know, how everything that they do is part of the narrative. In the photography, is it a moment? Has it been, I don't want to say manipulated, but has it been staged? Is one better than the other? Not necessarily. It's just how well each one of them have done with what it is that they bring. So every piece stands on its own in the show. And I hope everybody sees every piece that way, because there's something amazing about every piece. But not every piece gets selected. So what rises to the top for a selection? It has to do with the combination of how well they use their medium, push the elements of design, or as I said earlier, how beautifully traditional it is. So that is an extreme in of itself, if it's being used in such a traditional manner. So it has all of that. So selecting isn't putting anybody that's not selected down, because every piece stands on its own. But somebody gets recognized for that combination of the use of the media and the narrative that they bring to it. If a painting cannot make me ask, what is that? What more is that? Why is this happening? If there's something that can draw me in with a thought like that, as I'm looking at it, where is it going? What is it doing? If it can draw me in that long to wonder those things, then they get the second and third look. I appreciate the number of honorable mentions that they offer, that I'm allowed to select here, because there's so many good pieces that should be mentioned. They deserve to have people go and look at them. And people, when they come in and look at the art, it's not just about whether or not it's a pretty picture. It's how else do you respond to? Do you like the reds? Does the feeling of fall on you, like these leaves did over here? And, you know, things that are in the light or things that are in the shadow. Is there tension? All those things. So take the time to look at each piece and then see when you start thinking about those things, how do you respond to those answers? So as a juror or the artist to do the judging and make selections, all of that goes into it. It's a process.